So you got your script and you want to make your film. It's kind of cool, right? You're getting your cast together, you're getting your crew together, and even some extras for that big action scene you've been thinking of. But something's missing. What is that? Well, a plan. Yep, a plan of action. And what do we mean by plan? We're talking about creating a shot list. So in today's video, I'm going to go about showing you how to create your own shot list for your film. Welcome back to the channel. How y'all doing? Good? Good. So today we're going to talk about how you can create your own shot list for the film. And I'd like to even ask another question on why would you like to create your own shot list? So stick around and we're going to get into that in a moment. There are a number of ways of going about doing this, but we're going to use something of a more industry standard way to do this. But first, let's answer the question I posed earlier. Why do you want to make a shot list? Why is it so important? Why do you keep hearing it all around the place? Shot list this, shot list that. Well, let's get into that. A shot list helps you, the filmmaker, be it director, DP, come up with a blueprint and know how your film is constructed with meaningful images. I like to think of it as an exercise in mental preparation, especially before shoot day. A plan of action is super important because when the inevitable thing arises, you have to be able to adapt. And if you've mentally prepared in this kind of way, adaptability becomes a lot more easy. Just like,
now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
Be like water. When you're on set, be like water. And on a practical level, it helps the production crew know where we're at during shooting. So what still needs to be achieved and what else do we need to shoot on the day. So it's super important. We've answered why. How about we answer how we go about creating a shot list? I'm going to break this down into 3 sections so we can make this as digestible as possible. Because usually when we're talking about shot lists, it becomes really hard to follow. So I'm going to try and give it to you as easy and as followable. Is that even a word? Section 1. How do we define our scenes and mark our scripts? Now this can be done with a pen and physical copy, or if you want to do it on an iPad, it's up to you. Section 2. Assigning the shots and their abbreviations and the program you might use. And lastly, Section 3. How we input all this information into the program of your choosing. Now this part we're not going to get too hung up on the actual program choice because the principles will remain the same. Now on the screen I'm going to throw up some examples of the kind of shots there are and the abbreviations that we use. First up, the establishing shot. Now this is used to enter either a film, the actual beginning of the film, or it can be used to enter the actual scene. Establishing means we're establishing the environment or the location that the actors are in. This can also be used with a wide shot, so sometimes the 2 phrases are interchangeable. Next up will be the full body shot. Now this captures the actor from head to toe, so all of them are within the frame, and because of that it becomes a full body shot, and the abbreviation will be FS. The good old medium shot. Now in terms of framing, we're talking about from the head of the actor to the waist of the actor, and that will be considered the medium shot, and the abbreviation will be MS. In relation to the medium shot, we have the medium close-up. Now framing wise, this is all of the actor's head down to the top of his shoulders. So not like the medium shot, we just stop at the top of the shoulders. Another shot to emphasize relation of characters in the frame and also emotion. And the abbreviation for this is, get this, MCU. Yeah, not that MCU. Oh yeah, the close-up. All of the feels and all of the emotion are generally contained within the close-up. Now framing wise, it's usually top of the forehead to just underneath the chin, and that's if you're framing an actor. Sometimes the close-up is used for inanimate objects and inserts. The abbreviation for close-up is CU. Next up, we go real close. Oh yeah, the extreme close-up. The close-up's big brother. Yeah, so here we are framing the shot with the actor's features in mind. So eye level down to mouth level, or in other cases, we're framing it for a object as an insert. Either way, it's about showing the closest possible emotion or thing for the audience to really pay attention to. Next up, we have the point of view shot, or abbreviated as POV. Now this is looking through the actor's eyes and giving us their viewpoint, basically covering the same sort of focal length that the actor's eyes will see, or in some cases zooming in to something really important. We look at the two shot. Framing wise, this contains both actors within the frame. It's usually used to display the characters' relationship to each other, often close, sometimes antagonistic. The abbreviation for this shot is F2/SHT. A deserving shot on the list will be the bird's eye view shot, and sometimes referred to as God's eye view. Now the bird's eye view is in its title. We are looking from a high down at characters or location. Where it's God's eye view, we sometimes are just hovering over the character and just following them. So we are omnipresent and we are simply observing them. Sometimes that communicates a sense of judgment or indifference. Finally, on our list of examples, we're going to look at the over-the-shoulder shot, often abbreviated as OTS. Now this shot is framed just over the shoulder of one of the actors looking at the other actor, and then reverse. This indicates the relationship between the characters, whether it's close or distant. In this section, we also need to consider shot action, which is to say, is the shot being shot from a low angle? Is the shot being shot from a high angle? Are we dollying across? Meaning to say, are we moving from left to right? Are we staying stationary and panning the shot? So the shot action is really important to also note down, because it mentally prepares you for what you know you're going to have to do. Whether you're shooting the film or not, or whether this is someone else who's actually shooting it for you. On the idea of what program you should use, there are a few good ones. I think there's even some mobile apps that you can use right now. But if you're starting out, or kind of early in your filmmaking career, then guys, I think spreadsheets are perfectly fine. And you can go as complicated as you want with a spreadsheet, or you can keep it as simplified as you want. Me personally, I like to keep it simple. That's just, it just helps. You don't want to put anything in your way that complicates the process. And really what you're trying to get to is the images and what the construction of these images mean. So when you're thinking about your shot list, you're thinking about your film and how in your mind's eye you perceive that film. So keep it simple, guys. I'll say recommended, go with a spreadsheet at first. It's a lot easier. This is a bonus tip. Yep, a bonus tip. So here's the thing about shots. I think what's really important is when you're considering the shots and you're pulling them down, you're even thinking about the lenses you're going to use for those particular shots, and you're inputting all that information. What inevitably happens on set is that either time's a limitation, or the location changes, or maybe it's not the location you wanted. One of the rules, I think, is to keep shot order in mind. Now, what do we mean when we say shot order? Okay, it's generally accepted, whether you're a DP, filmmaker, doesn't matter, is that you shoot from your widest shot to your medium shot to your close-up and inserts. Why? Because when you shoot wide first, you're setting up everything, lights, you're setting up, and then you go to your inserts or your close-ups. Okay, even easier. So you take what you've got, your light, and you either push it out a little bit or you push it in. You do what's needed, and then you can bring in your negs and whatnot. So anyhow, shot order, widest to mediums to close-ups and inserts. Section 1, defining your scenes and marking your script. Let's start by looking at a familiar movie scene. The movie I've chosen is All Is Lost, starring Robert Redford. Great film, by the way. Now, this film is largely silent, and by silent, I mean very little dialogue. So in the script, a lot of it is driven by action. I thought this would be a great example to use because often these examples tend to take a dialogue heavy scene and break that down. Whereas let's look at something without so much dialogue. Now before we start, you can find a copy of this script online. In this section, we're going to be lining our script. Once we've lined our script, we must give the shots numbers and letters. The numbers are simply the numbers of the scenes and the letters indicate the difference in shots. These go in alphabetical order. Example shown. However, the letters I and O should be avoided as they can create confusion with the numbers 1 and 0. Let's take the opening of the scene and try to follow our guiding principles of shot order, that is, wide to close. Let's start this whole paragraph and see where we can have our wide or establishing shot. And I will put it here and so far down to here. Now, the top marks of this line represent when the shot starts and when the shot finishes. So we mark the line with tails, and then beside it we can make a little note with our abbreviation of shots, which will be, in this case, WS, or for establishing, EST. So this next sentence and paragraph feels like we can capture it as a close-up. Using the principles again, we'll mark it from here down to where the shot ends, here, and we'll put CU for close-up. In this next section, there's a description of the events that are happening. So for that reason, we can put this shot as his POV, as his point of view, which can be framed as a wide or medium, essentially the same focal length as his eyes would naturally see. Our next paragraph, he jumps out of the berth and his feet hit the ground and they're in several inches of water. With this paragraph, I think we can try to cover the whole moment as a medium shot. MS for medium shot, and then there's a part where it describes he lands in inches of water. I would probably make that like something of an insert where his boot hits the water, so we can use a close-up shot. So we'll mark just the line where we want to basically have this close-up shot. Page 2 of this scene starts with he jumps up. I would like to film as a medium close-up. So we'll mark the lines and we'll put MCU, not that MCU of course, but medium close-up as the abbreviation. And then it goes on to state the rest of the paragraph as he looks down at several small white knockoff kid sneakers. This would be his view. Let's put it as a POV or point of view. Then we go on to the next paragraph. Our man rushes towards the back of the boat. Now remember, we're always looking at ways we can get more coverage with less shots. So we will first probably shoot a bunch of this stuff because it's again describing things that are actually happening. We will mark our POV shot so we can contain certain sections of that. So these two paragraphs will do one large POV shot of all the things that are happening. Then that second paragraph, we'll come back to him in a reverse medium shot. So following him as he walks forward. So we will do medium shot and we can make a note and say reverse if we want, but we know we're going to capture that as a medium shot. Then this next paragraph is describing everything that's happening, the damage that's happening within the boat. So the gash is located right at the navigational table of the boat. All of this paragraph, I would make it as if the character is looking at it. So again, another POV shot. So we mark the lines. Then we move on to the next line and paragraph, which is our man jumps through the rushing water and climbs up the steps to the cockpit of the boat. We can capture that in a sort of handheld way, but frame wise it will be a medium shot. So let's mark it with MS for medium shot, and I'll make a little note, say reverse, because again I will probably frame it as in he's coming towards the camera and we're moving backwards. We go on to the new scene, which is a continuation of this scene. It describes through the early morning light he now sees what's happened. That shot as he's come up on the boat side, we'll probably capture as a close-up because we want to see his emotions in his face. So let's mark the lines and put CU for close-up. The next paragraph starts with a massive shipping container that has fallen off a cargo ship, is almost completely submerged in the water and is now stuck to the boat. This describes the events that are happening, and a good rule is if it's describing the events that are happening, usually it's the audience we need to take notice. So we do that through the character's eyes. Subjectively, we want to stay with the character. So let's make that a POV shot through his viewpoint. And then we can make a little note for having it be slightly high angled, looking downwards. And there you have it. As we've got an example of this scene, we can see what we've done versus what was actually filmed. We'll stop right there. The color coding that I've used isn't necessary. You can use the same exact color for all of the marking. It's just something to highlight for you looking at it, the various shots and the way in which you mark a script. You would then take all of the shots you've devised and you will input them into your shot list and your shot list program. And that's what we'll do next. Right, so here we are in Google Docs, our shot list made, and this will be the shot list you can download for free. It served my purpose on many occasions well, and I hope it will help you. So, if we zoom in a bit. Okay. So as you can see, some of the shots have been imported already with the scene. So all scene 1 and the type of shots, which we have stated that we give alphabetical letters to. And then in these next 3 rows, we have multiple choice. So for framing, I give you a multiple choice of all of the standardized shots. And within those you have establishing, wide shot, full shot, medium shot, and the list goes down. Then in the next row we have angle, and again you have a bunch of shots, angles that you can choose from. So you got medium, high, low, eye level, and Dutch if you're so inclined. It's a cool shot. They use it well in Mission Impossible. Okay, and then movement. So movement, I've included handheld because I think that's a suitable place for us to pull it. But you can have your static and your push in, your pull out, your pans, your whip pans, and your zooms. Again, this is a multiple choice, so you can choose which one you prefer, and your lenses. And then your subject and the description section for the type of part in their script that you're choosing, and then notes if you need it. So let's go ahead and import a couple just for example. So here in our next page we have, which is still scene 1. So we'll put in scene 1. And because it's scene 1, we have to continue the shots, so it'll be a different shot. So we'll go with F and we'll choose MCU because that's the next shot, and because it's a medium close-up we want it medium, and because we're following the idea that we're on a ship, so things are going to be less static in this moment, so it'll be handheld. And lens we will use is 25, and the subject is the man. Okay, next shot will be a POV. So again, still scene 1. And we'll go down to our shots. Oops, sorry. I missed the shot type, which is 1G. And we'll go down to POV, choose POV, go to medium or even eye level. And let's keep with the handheld because even with a POV. Now, lens wise, we can choose 35mm to sort of mimic the focal length of our eyes. And on this occasion, the subject can be the boat, because this is us looking at the boat. Okay, then we have the next shot, which will be a medium shot. So still scene 1, and what comes after G? H. And we'll say medium shot, we'll say medium and handheld, and keep that to 25, and this, and the subject being man. Now, in terms of the description, you simply can use the description of the action. So you can take the snippets from the actual script and use those, or you can use a script and you can basically use a overall sense of what it is that the description is. So in this case, we'll say man rushes towards the back of the boat from the script. Okay, and in the shot list you'll have colors the moment you put your description down. And we'll do one more shot just to give you an example. Again, it's scene 1, and now everything alphabetically is included, but just as I've mentioned before, the letters I and O are not there, only because they can be confused with 1 and 0. So we'll go from H to J. And because the next shot is a POV, we'll come back to the POV shot. We'll say eye level, and again handheld, and 35. For your lens choice. Now within the scene, generally you're never going to use loads of lenses, probably 1, 2, maybe 3 at most. So you would always go back, and because of that you can start to form, through your shot list, you can start to form a shooting order. Okay, I think that does it for the general look, and yeah, I hope that helped you. And like I said, the link is in description, and you can download this shot list for free, and hopefully it will help you on your production. And thanks. And there you have it, guys, creating a shot list. What y'all think? I hope I've done a good job. I hope you took something away from this. And like I said, link in the description if you want to have a version of a shot list that you can use for your future productions. It's simple, but like I said, it's also simplicity can be the best thing, especially when we're starting out. So go ahead, download that free of charge, and tell me how you liked it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll get right back to you. And if you liked the video, how about subscribing? I've got loads of videos coming. And hey, remember, it's never too late. Take care, guys. Peace.